He is asking this question, why the Buddha is always born a man. And audience want to know why also. I see some woman nodding, oh, want to know why not a woman? And this question was asked, in fact, yesterday when I was in Malacca. Also they asked this question, no? How come everybody is so concerned now about, looks like still they have this battle of the sexes, no? And why man and woman? Well, there are certain qualities. There are certain qualities which are better developed or which are better attributed to masculine. And there are certain other qualities, certain other virtues that are to be found more in the man. In masculine, some are found in feminine, in woman. And they are not the same. And if you read, I had a glance through some of the articles which appeared recently in the papers, and it's an article that says that women are better than men. In certain ways, women are better than men. In certain other ways, men are better than women. But when we talk about the striving, when we talk about enlightenment, now in the process of enlightenment, to become an all-enlightened being, that's what a Buddha is about. In the process of becoming an all-enlightened being, one has to perfect certain virtues, certain qualities. What are these qualities for perfection? There are 10 in number. There are 10 perfections. In the Pali Canon, Pali Tripitaka speaks about 10. In the Sanskrit version, they speak about 6. But the 10 can be classified, can be contracted into 6, or the 6 can be expanded into 10. So, what are these 10 qualities first? By understanding all the qualities by which one has to practice, they are the prerequisites of an all-enlightened being. After understanding these, then you can understand whether a man or a woman can finally fulfill these requisites. The first is the practice of dana parami. Dana parami is the perfection of giving. If you ask any of the novices about giving, I think they know what giving is about. But how to perfect giving, how to perfect the practice of giving or sharing or generosity. There are 3 levels of perfection, 3 degrees by which one practices giving to its perfection. The first level, the first degree of perfection lies in the giving of material things. Giving of food, giving of shelter, giving of clothing, medicine, and so on. All the material things. Then, when one is able to give up some material possession, then the next stage by which one can further develop, further perfect giving, the art of giving, one should be able, or one should be prepared to give up not only material possessions, but also some bodily possessions. In other words, something from the body, which includes tissues as well as organs of the body. Last night, Dev Reverend has mentioned about how tissues, how the Buddha in his previous births, in his previous lives, he had donated various organs, including his eye. So this eye donation campaign that is going on in Malaysia, and kidney donation, tissue donation, blood donation, it is nothing new. In the CV Jataka, in one of the previous lives of the Buddha had the Bodhisattva. He was born and he became, at that time he was born and grew up as a king. His name was Sivi. As a king, after spending some time ruling his people, and he had very great compassion, and one of his attendants who looked after him became blind. One of the servants became blind. Then he called one of his surgeons to remove his eye and transplant into that blind man. And he lost his sight, but the other blind man gained sight. So while he was alive, he had given his eye. Here we find this story. This is in the Jataka, in the past birth of the Buddha. So it is certainly more than 2,500 years. So the technique of transplant, organ transplant, was there long time ago. How they do it, we do not know. No details are mentioned. And I mentioned to you how even nowadays some monks know which point to press to put your eyes out. Of course, a certain pressure points that you press, and they can take out your eyes. There is also another story how that one nun, she was very keen in her practice, and after that, after her renunciation, after she had become a nun, her former husband was tormenting her and started to follow her wherever she goes. Then she could not get rid of him. Everywhere she goes, he follows her. Then one day, she asked him, "Why are you following me?" And he said, "I still love you. And then she asked him, "What is it that you love me?" Then he said, "You have very beautiful eyes. I love your eyes." Then she must have known where to press. She pressed the button and removed one eye and really took out that eye and gave it to him. "There you are. You take my eye and go away." And she gave her eyes to her husband. Because the husband said he loved her eyes. And then the husband had to go away. Because now she has no more eyes. So, she was a saint. And she had that ability. So obviously those days, still some people know the art of removing eyes. And in the same manner, the Buddha, in his previous birth as Bodhisattva, was striving to perfect his virtues, perfection. He had also given up his limbs, his hands and other parts of the body. That is the second degree of the perfection of giving. In other words, he is prepared to give up something from the body. Then another degree, the highest degree of perfection in giving is the ability, the practice of sacrifice, that one should be able to sacrifice even one's own life for the welfare, for the happiness of others. This the Buddha had done. In many of his births, he had risked his own life to save the lives of others. He had even given his whole life when he saw a tigress with cubs, with litter. This tigress had just given birth, and there were few. And she was very weak. She had nothing to eat. And these cubs, these little ones, were sucking and had no milk, no more milk from the mother. So when he saw this pitiable sight, he felt very sorry for the tigress. And he thought, if he can sacrifice his life and become food for the tigress, then he can save how many lives? The mother tiger and the children, the little ones. He can save so many lives. So this was what he did. That was one of his previous lives. He jumped and he became food for the tigress. He offered himself as food for the tigress. Of course, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of the ordinary people, this is a very foolish thing to do. When you see tiger, you run away. If you see some, a weak tiger, you will take advantage and start beating that tiger. If not killing all of them, so that they won't become nuisance to others. So this is your mentality. This is the ordinary man's mentality. But For those who are practicing virtues, practicing certain principles and perfecting it, the way they look at things totally different. So he had practiced them without any ulterior motives, without any motives of gaining anything. When the situation demands, if he is able to help somebody to save the lives of others, at the risk of his life he will save. That is the highest giving. To give one's life for the welfare, for the benefit of others. So in that way, one is able to perfect giving. Dana parami. Right? In the same manner, there are other virtues. 9 other virtues which are to be perfected in a similar manner. The second perfection is called sila, morality. Certain moral, certain good conduct, certain principles, like non-killing, non-stealing. This person who wants to practice morality to its perfection, he, first of all, at the first level, he is prepared to lose material things. Now, you are prepared. You have come. Some of you are prepared. I know there are at least 1 or 2 here who tried to get leave, applied for leave, and could not get. Their boss were not allowed. So they are prepared to lose, forego their job, forego the salary to come to experience this novitiate program. This is one form of maintaining certain principles to practice Dhamma. Now there are some people who want to perfect the practice of non-killing, non-stealing or non-lying. They are all certain moral, certain code of conduct, certain moral training rules. They maintain that so strongly. They are prepared to lose material things, material wealth, in order to develop these qualities. Then that is only the first degree, first level of perfection. The second degree of perfection is that they are prepared to sacrifice any part of their body in order to maintain, in order to further their practice of that particular precept, that particular moral training rule. Say, for example, somebody comes and points a gun at your back and says, now, go and tell Chief Reverend that so-and-so, so-and-so has done this bad action, because that person is an enemy to that person. So you go and say, you go and tell. Say that you have seen that so-and-so has spoken. You have heard that so-and-so has spoken something bad. In other words, somebody behind you with a gun and asking you to lie, to tell a lie. At a gunpoint. Either you lie or you lose your life. Which one will you do? Which one will you take? You say, okay, I will tell him. Anything you want me to tell, I will tell. Only thing, remove that gun. You do that. Then you are not able to, you are not perfecting that. But those who want to perfect, they are not afraid. Even though they should, that is the third level. Sometimes they cut, they threaten you, they will cut your hands. If you don't steal, they ask you to steal, to take some money. They say, if you don't steal from me, I will cut your hands. Then they say, never mind, you can cut my hands. I will not steal. He is prepared to lose any parts of the body, the limbs of the body, in order to practice that virtue. And still, the third level of practice, the third degree, the perfection of the practice of morality, he will uphold that moral principle even at the expense of losing his own life. So this is how people will practice virtues until that extent, perfection. Then the third perfection is what you call renunciation. Nekkhamma, renunciation. To renounce the worldly attachments, giving up the family, giving up worldly pleasures. And to maintain this renunciation, he is prepared to lose material things, prepared to lose any part of the body, prepared even to die. Oh, there are many stories. One famous story with one young man, he wanted to renounce, he wanted to become a monk, follow the Buddha, and his parents were not allowed. Parents did not give permission. So, what to do? He asked for permission again and again. Parents says, no, nothing doing. He says, all right. He lie down on the floor. And he refused to eat. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, refused to eat, refused to drink. Then parents got afraid. Parents tried to persuade him. He says, no, never mind. Then parents tried to tell the son's friend to persuade him. Also, he refused. He says, until I get the permission from my parents, I'm prepared to die. See how he holds on to that renunciation. He is prepared to die. But eventually, his friend went to the parents and said, now look here, if you still do not want to give permission, he will die. He is prepared to die. But if you give permission, then you will be able to see him again. So on this basis, the parent says, okay. And he got his permission. So that is how Rattapala renounced. The practice of renunciation, giving up, to its perfection. Then the fourth perfection is the practice of wisdom, the development of wisdom. Also to be cultivated to its perfection In other words, at those three levels, what are the three levels? Prepared to sacrifice, to lose material possession, prepared to lose bodily possession, and even prepared to lose one's life, at the risk of one's life, to develop wisdom. And that is panya. Then the other virtues are virya, effort. Effort. The effort to overcome evil. The effort to do good, to prevent evil things, evil thoughts from arising in the mind, to overcome the evil that has already arisen, to cultivate the good that is not there, to maintain the good that is already there. That is effort, energy. And next one, khanti, patience, endurance. To be able to endure hardships. The word khanti is rendered into English as patience, but it means more than patience. It includes endurance, forbearance, forgiving. So one who develops khanti, he is prepared, he is able to endure hardships in various ways. Hardships with regards to the harsh climatic conditions, sometimes very cold, sometimes very hot, sometimes very windy, sometimes very wet, but still goes on to practice, goes on to persevere, practice, without giving up. Whatever painful sensation arises, he is able to endure pain, able to endure hardship. Even food, very little food, very frugal living, sometimes not so pleasant to the taste, but still he is able to endure. Without grumbling, he is able to maintain. That is the practice of khanti, endurance. Khanti paramang tapo. The endurance, the practice of endurance, patience, endurance and forbearance is the highest means of restraint, is the highest restraint. So that is why you sleep on the floor, endure little hardship, and skip one meal, hungry, little hardship, learn how to endure. After that you can skip 2 meals. More hardship, endure. Khanti. Then the next virtue is, the next perfection is satya, truthfulness. Truthfulness, honesty and truthfulness. In other words, one who perfects, one who is in this path trying to perfect, develop this satya parami, he will not speak, he will not utter a lie. And he is honest, straightforward. Even at the expense of losing his material wealth, losing his bodily parts of the limbs of the body, or his own life. That is how he perfects, first level, second level, third level, to its perfection. The Buddha, in many of his births, from the time he decided that he will aspire, that he will become an all-enlightened one, Amongst all the other perfections, this perfection of truthfulness, he had kept this, he had practiced this for many, many lifetimes. That is why his words, the words he uttered, is so powerful, because he did not lie. So everything, when you practice this virtue, your words become very powerful. Do you know that there are some people whose words are very powerful? When they say that certain things will have, they say something and that thing happens. Just by a word of mouth only. Very powerful. And in the case of the Buddha, even more than 2,500 years have passed. By uttering certain words which he had uttered, we can use that to calm our minds, to free ourselves from fear, free ourselves from even sicknesses. Such is the strength of those words uttered by the Buddha. The power of truth. That is the perfection of honesty, truthfulness, satya. Then there is the perfection of aditthana, or resolution, determination. How to determine, how to resolve, make resolution. Strong determination, resolution. The Buddha has perfected this virtue. And sometimes people use the word vow. But the vows are more used in connection with sacrifices. People make in India at that time, during the time of the Buddha, people will go to different goddesses, different deities, and make certain vows. And they say that upon the fulfillment of this vow, then they will repay. They will come to sacrifice a goat or sacrifice something. That is vow. So normally we would try as far as possible not to use this word vow. We would use this word aspiration or determination. Aditthana. And to make certain resolution, and you keep to that resolution. Oh, the Buddha's resolution was so strong. You know, when the last moments before he gained his enlightenment, his mind was so strong. He had decided that he will sit in order that his mind be purified, in order that he realize the highest truth. And he said to himself, just before he sat down under the Bodhi tree, he said to himself, let this body of mine wither, shrivel away. Let my blood dry up. I will not get up from this seat until I realize the truth. This is an aditthana. This is a resolution. What kind of resolutions have you made? You sit down for a little while in the room, and then you say, I will sit down for 1 hour, And then the pain come up. Little pain come up here and there, trembling little bit. Half an hour's time you run out. You say, so no more already. Sadhu, you say. That is not sadhu. Sadhu is well done. But yet it's not well done. No sadhu. No sadhu to you. Don't try to build up this adhisthana, because it is this aspiration, this manner of resolution that can direct your whole energy, your whole thought, your whole speech and bodily action, all the karmic force you can generate, you can direct it in that direction. That is how you can become the master of your destiny and not give up to, not submit yourself to all the external influences. In order to do this parami, this with regards to the perfection of resolution, making aspiration. You make aspiration and you work along that line to fulfill that aspiration. So that is adithana parami. Then metta, loving kindness, practice of loving kindness, metta parami. You practice your loving kindness, radiate your loving kindness to all beings, irrespective of caste, color or creed, to all, boundless love to all. For this practice of metta, you are prepared to lose material things, prepared to lose the limbs of your body, and even prepared to lose your own life. Such is the degree of perfection by which you practice metta. Then upekkha, equanimity, balanced state of mind. The balanced state of mind. How to maintain a balanced state of mind? This balanced state of mind, upekkha, is born out of wisdom, where there is no craving, no aversion. The untrained, undeveloped, uncultured mind naturally swings from one extreme of craving to the other extreme of aversion. That is the attraction and repulsion. The mind swings between likes and dislikes, does not remain stable, does not remain balanced. It is only when the mind is strengthened and upon realization of, after proper contemplation about the nature of life, then one is able to live in this world with a more balanced and equanimous life, without clinging, without aversion. For this, it is important to frequently contemplate the worldly conditions, that as long as we live in this world, we are subject to worldly conditions. What are these worldly conditions? There is profit, there is gain, there is loss. Sometimes you make a lot of money. When the share market booms, you make a lot of money. When the share market falls, you lose a lot of money. That is the nature. When you gain, you are very happy. When you lose, very sad. Cannot balance the mind. But those who want to balance their mind should constantly, frequently contemplate that this is the nature of life. One time there is profit, then any time that I'm not going to have this profit all the time, one day there will be loss. So when you lose, what did you lose? You lost what you have gained. But because you have so strong craving for what you want to make all the time, and you do not want to see the other aspect, they are the worldly conditions. In other words, you do not want to face the truth, the facts of life. But when one is able to face this truth, the facts of life, that there is profit, there is loss. So your mind, when you contemplate on this is the nature of life, your mind can become more equanimous, more balanced. Then, the second pair of conditions, worldly conditions, for us to contemplate is that there is praise, there is blame. Sometimes people praise you, they speak well of you. The next moment they blame you, they speak ill of you. That is the nature. The same person who speaks well of you, who praise you, you don't have to wait for the next day, the next hour. He can turn around and blame you. That's the nature. So, praise or blame, not to be too much affected by them. Then there is fame. Where there is fame, there is ill fame. Those who become famous, one day they will also become. They lose their fame. This is the conditions. These are the conditions of life. Worldly conditions. In the same manner, just as there is happiness, there is sorrow. Happiness and sorrow. These are the 8 worldly conditions. Atta loka dhamma. Atta loka dhamma. The 8 worldly conditions. Profit, loss. Praise, blame. Fame, ill fame. Happiness, sorrow. Can you remember these 8? Remember them and contemplate on them again and again, frequently, because it is upon frequent contemplation that one will slowly, when the mind becomes calm and clear, then it will be impressed in the mind. Then one will begin to see the world in this manner, and then will be able to maintain equanimity, balanced mind. So, that equanimity, upekkha, for one who wishes to develop, to become a fully enlightened being, a Samma Sambuddha, that being will have to practice this until its perfection. The first degree of perfection, he practices his balance, his equanimity, at the expense of losing wealth, material wealth. The second degree, he is prepared to lose his certain parts of the body in order to maintain his equanimity, and then eventually to lose even his life. But in order to practice, in order to develop equanimity. So these are the 10 perfections. Dana, Silancha, Nekkhamma. Dana, Sila, Nekkhamma. Panya, wisdom. Virya, effort. Khanti, patience, endurance. Satcha, truthfulness, honesty. Aditthana, resolution, aspiration, resolution. Metta, loving kindness. Upekha, equanimity, perfection. These are the 10 perfections. In other words, 10 qualities to be perfected before one finally becomes an all-enlightened being. It is because of his perfection, because of the paramis, because of his perfection, that in his last birth, he was born as a perfect, almost perfect, a perfect being. His features, one can see in his features, they are perfect marks, certain unique features in the body, because this body is constantly being molded by our action, by our thought, by our speech, and by our bodily action. When you think something, you have some good thoughts, your eyes start to glitter, shine, brighten up. When you harbor some bad thoughts, when you have some jealousies and envy, then, when people speak something good about others, and others are happy, you start making your mouth, start to pull your mouth one side. You give a kind of grin. Then your muscles become permanently stretched in that way. And you are molded. That is how the body becomes molded again and again. If you can maintain your equanimity, if you can develop your loving kindness, compassion, and you have that sympathetic joy when others are happy, you know how to share the joys of others, the happiness of others, you know how to make others happy, you can remain cheerful, happy, maintain a happy mind all the time, or very often you can maintain that happy mind by cherishing good thoughts in your mind. You can remain cheerful, happy, maintain a happy mind all the time, or very often you can maintain that happy mind by cherishing good thoughts in your mind. So, these virtues, these are the things that 10 perfections to become a Buddha. Now, in order to perfect these virtues, one not only mental strength, one also needs the physical strength to endure. The Buddha was born at a time when don't think that the time was all very good. People are talking about bad times today. What is it? Depression and bad times, no work, no money, but still you have food, you can breathe fresh air. and still the time is quite good. Now, those times also, religious practices had dwindled down, had become reduced to mere rites and rituals, sacrifices. There were murderers. There were all kinds of violence. They were fighting wars also. You have heard about the war in Lumbini, in Rohini. So all things were there. In that situation, amidst conflicting situation, the greatest conflict that existed in India at that time was conflict of philosophy, views, ideologies. People will go to the extent of fasting and giving up food, other things, in order to think, in order to expound their theories, their views about life, about the world. They were more interested in these philosophical. That was the era that the Buddha, Gautama Buddha, was born in the world at that time, around the 6th century BC. During that era, during that time, not only in India, also in Greece, there were already people like Heraclitus, people like Pythagoras, thinking and expounding things. And in the Far East, in China, there was Lao Tzu, that old master, and Confucius was living around that time. They had not met each other. They have no contacts, but they have developed parallel. There are some virtues which they have developed and certain wisdom which they have developed. Then, in India, there was not only the Buddha, there was his contemporary. He had a number of contemporary thinkers and philosophers, teachers. The Jainas, Lord Mahavira, or Nigantanatta Buddha, and there were quite a few others, great thinkers. He had to face the challenges of his time. And in the Middle East, there was Isaiah. Now, it was during that era, people were thinking, finding out, developing their mind, their mental powers. Well, it looks like we are coming to another thinking era, spiritual era. We are moving on from the Thespian age to the Aquarian. Is that right? Aquarian age. Most a spiritual era. That's why, you people come. You forsake your home, you forsake all your things to come. Because of certain, there will be more people renouncing like you. More permanent ones, not the temporary ones. Many people will give up. Many people will begin to use their mind and think and want to meditate and do things. So, you won't be alone, don't worry. So those of you who are afraid that they will be alone, no supporters, there will be a lot of others. So you better do it first, before the others. Hmm? For the early bird catches the worm, no? You won't be catching worms, but you will. So take good opportunity of this time. Hmm? And now you have understood, you have at least heard these perfections, all these 10 perfections. Now during that time of the Buddha, in order to strive, in order to develop this mind, he lived in such a situation. Leaving home, he had to wander from place to place, go from place to place in the forest. And he moved alone by himself. He met different teachers. He was not satisfied with some of them. He went on until he went on his own. That was the way of life he led. And now, for that kind of life, what do you think? Who would be better suited, a man or a woman? Who would be better suited? A man. Now you got your answer? But please don't get the idea that, oh, we are women, we are very unfortunate, we cannot become Buddha. If you want to become a Buddha, you make a firm resolution that you want to become a Buddha. When you develop these perfections, in the process of developing these perfections, you will be developing certain qualities which are more inclined, will be inclining towards certain masculine qualities. That the way you think, the way you act, the way you speak will change. Your voice will change. Yes. You see, some women have already changed their voice. Even during this novitiate program, you can see how many days they have changed their voice. No more thrill, no more frills in their voice. Now their voice sharp and strong voice they have. Then even their looks will change. Because they don't care for the curly hair anymore. They want to renounce, they cut. Now you see how many of them all straight hairs. They don't care for these things. So now they begin to lose all these feminine qualities. No? Now for a little while they have this thought, leave children aside and this and that. So now they become less attached to children. Of course, for 2 weeks. After that they go back. But when you want to perfect these things, slowly you detach. So you will not become attached to children. So no children will come to you. So even though you are born as a woman, then you have no children. So never mind. Don't come to the Buddha and ask for children. No children, so much the better. Can come to temple more often. Otherwise, free. You do not know how much trouble you have. How much trouble you have given to your parents. So make use in whatever situation that you are in. Don't think that you are unfortunate being. Make use of all the bad luck, because it's still a kind of luck. In all dark clouds, there is some silver lining. Make use of that silver lining. Everything happens for the good. Whatever happens for the good. We were on a pilgrimage to India, and we just came back, few of us. had this experience, you know. We were coming from Lumbini, from Kathmandu to Lumbini, and we took the road, by road, a very tedious road, very bumpy and very difficult road. Along this road, we started early in the morning, about 6 o'clock from Kathmandu, 6:30 in the morning. Very cold there. It's winter now in Kathmandu. Then what happened was the bus stopped. And because there was an accident in front of us, a truck, a lorry had overturned over that narrow road, and all the other long line of trucks cannot move, waiting there. Of course, some people took the opportunity to meditate, others took the opportunity to grumble, and still others took opportunity to eat, and others look for opportunity to help one another. So you see, different minds give different opportunities, different practices. Then, after 1 hour, about 1 hour, the truck, some people got together and was able to move them aside, and so the traffic eased the congestion. And then what happened? Going on some distance, we had a flat tire, punctured tire, flat tire. Again had to change, took some time again. And then this time there was some panic already. Some people said, what time can we make it to the hotel, and what time can we go to Lumbini? It's a long distance. Then they repaired the tire and then go on. Now this driver driving very fast now. Zoom, 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 zoom. He wants to catch time. And in India, in those places, they have certain checkpoints. Not like our toll gate, but our toll gate, you have special. Their toll gate is actually a rail gate. One bamboo stick and one string. You see? It so happened that this checkpoint, this bamboo stick was about just dangling in the air, just sufficient, So this driver had thought that he could just go through that. But unfortunately, due to misjudgment, he hits the rope and the rope burst. Then we had it. The checkpoint, the officer there, made a big fuss. Kept us there for a long time. And then eventually, he decided that we should change the string. So they had gone to a shop to buy a string. And the string was short. Too short. They had to buy a longer one. So you see what happened. Delay. And some were panicking and some would say, bad luck. I heard somebody saying, really bad luck. Even the organizer was saying, what a bad luck. And he was saying that, he was blaming our poor, conductor. He says, you don't bathe. I heard all these things, I overheard all these things, complaining. In my mind, I say, well, something good is going to come up out of this. Never mind. Never mind. And hope against hope that we will arrive Lumbini still when it is daylight. But we arrived there just in time to see sunset. Sun, and a very quick one, everything was pitch black. Cannot see anything. Right? So we had to make another decision. We had to take another decision. Make the best use of the situation. So we decided, those who like to stay in Lumbini, stay overnight in the temple or to rough it up. And because of all the delay, 3/4 of our group had the opportunity to stay, spend one night in Lumbini. Oh, how happy they were. Oh, yes. Huh? Others who had a lot of attachment to their baggage, they cannot sleep. They had to go back to the hotel. And they left from 7 o'clock, they reached the hotel about midnight. They had a midnight dinner. So that was the story. And whatever things that happened, unfortunate incidents, things happen, make the best use of it. Develop that. In the same manner, whatever sicknesses that you have, you can use that sickness as an object for contemplation and to develop your mind. Now you understand why the Buddha, the last life, be a Buddha, it becomes born as a man because of all the qualities, because of all the perfections. You see? And but in many of his births, as a bodhisattva, he was born as animals. Yes. He became a leader of the deer, leader of monkeys. All different he had. So, any other questions you want to ask? Of course. He must have been, huh? Yes, there you are. Yes. Any other questions? What about from our audience? Friday night discussion, it's yours. They are only observers now. Yes. Yes? Neither man nor woman. Don't you see that those people who do not know how to aspire, they are neither man nor woman? That's why they become. They get stuck there. Well, there are some. If your aspirations are not, while you are developing these qualities, you can see the changes, no? Some men have feminine qualities. Some women has masculine qualities. Don't try to divide them and see that, man is man, woman is woman. In man, you have also womanness. In the masculine, you have the feminineness. In the feminine, you have also the masculinity. If you study biology, you can understand. The hormones. In every human being, there are two kinds of hormones. They have the male and the female hormones. When you have more masculine hormone, then you become male. Then you start developing your beard and... I have seen some women, having beard, Yes. I was surprised one day, when I was buying ticket, having a ticket and in a kiosk, ticket kiosk, and then the voice was also like a man. Of course, the uniform was, uniform is a unisex uniform, so you can never tell. Then, it's only when I look at the hair that, so it was curly hair. And had this mustache. Because of certain hormone. Sometimes when you inject certain male hormone, then, the female becomes to develop masculine features. On the other hand, the male When they are injected with certain hormones, they begin to develop feminine features. Normal circumstances also they have certain feminine, certain hormones. They have balance. Of course, they are in between. You see, there are the eunuch also. Or depending on, actually, these are depending on the karmic genes. Karmic genes. We don't only talk biologically, we talk about genes, genetic factor, the DNA molecule. And in a Buddhistic manner, we talk about the karmic genes. How the mutants take place. Not merely by chance, but by certain kind of karmic energy. That this, the genes are being arranged in that order, and this formation, this structure, because of certain energy. Yes. Any other questions? All right. It is very good that you brought up that although we have not discussed yet about karma and rebirth, we'll take that one of these nights. And not everything that happens to us in the present, now, in this life, are due to our past karma. Not everything. Not everything. Not all our sicknesses are due to karma. This is very clearly mentioned in the teachings. In the Anguttara Nikaya, in the Samyutta Nikaya, also mentioned. With regards to sicknesses, some people have this tendency after listening to karma, every time they get a little sickness, they cough, they say, karma. You better cough out that karma. And when they fall down, they say, bad karma. This word karma has become so popular. And even, you see, I have seen in Australia, in the newspaper, footballers, when they cannot get a goal, they say, that's bad karma. You know? They have used karma. But different groups, different religious teachers during the time of the Buddha, they have interpreted karma in different ways. And the Jaina, Mahavira, Jainism, he's the leader, Nigantanatha Buddha, or known as Lord Mahavira. According to him, according to his teachings, that all our sufferings, all what we suffer in this lifetime, they are all due to our bad karma. And we have to pay. We have to pay for all the bad actions that we have done in the past. There's no chance of getting out. And the only way to burn the karma, they use this language of burning the karma, is by self-mortification, by torturing themselves. How do they torture themselves? They fast. They eat 1 or 2 grains of rice for a long period of time. Or they stand in the sun. They stand on one leg. Yes. They clench their fists until the nail penetrates and grows through the other side of the palm. You want to try? They're extremes. We still find in some religions they have certain remnants of that self-torture, sleeping on nail bed, and poking. All these are self-mortifications practices. And during the time of the Buddha, now this is the belief, there's a system which Jainism says that. Buddha says no. And according to the Jaina, the way to liberation is by burning all the karma. When all the karmas are burnt out, then you gain your liberation. Now this teaching has also influenced certain schools of Buddhism. That is why some of them go through they inflict upon themselves certain practice, certain mortification. And then when they suffer, they say this is how they purify themselves. Then when they get sick, they say, there you are, the bad karma. We allow the bad karma to ripen. Of course, even you torture yourself, you'll get sick. But then they say, give opportunity for bad karma to ripen. That is how they burn away the bad karma. According to the Buddha, in his teachings, then, it is not by the exhaustion of karma, it is by the exhaustion of craving tendency. When you put an end to craving, that is how, when all craving ceases, the mind is liberated. So the Buddha explains how the different kinds of karma. There are some very strong karma, some weaker karma, some not so strong karma. And according to the intensity, the seriousness of this action, it produces certain results. Our present, we are being conditioned by our past. But what we do now will condition our future. You see? So, this is the middle path view, with the middle path teachings with regards to the karma. And again, whilst other schools of thought emphasizes the efficacy of bodily action, the Jaina emphasizes the efficacy of bodily action, torturing the body. The Buddha emphasizes the efficacy of mental action as cetana, volition, mind. So, you see, there are these different views. Hindus also. The Vedic Brahmanism, whilst they accept the word karma, they have other interpretations of karma too. In Buddhism, when we talk about karma, we talk about individual moral responsibility. And we will expand on this subject on the law of karma later on. But to answer your question, that whether everything that happens in this lifetime is due to our past karma, no. Our sicknesses, very clearly mentioned, that some sicknesses are due to heat changes, due to seasonal changes, climatic conditions, due to phlegm, due to bile, due to the changes in climatic conditions can bring about sicknesses. They are not due to karma. However, there are certain sicknesses which are due to karma. Huh? So not all sicknesses are due to karma. Certain sicknesses are karmic. And these karmic diseases, no doctors can cure. After some time, when the karma ripens, then whether you go and see the Buddha or you go and see a stone, you go and see a rock, you pray to a rock, you pray to a stone, you go for faith healing, then when the karma ripens, after some time, you will see the end to that sickness. That is the nature of karmic diseases. So not everything. Your present moment, present is important. You fall down not because of your bad karma in the past, because of your lack of mindfulness in the present. Yes. Last questions, yes. From the audience, anyone, any question? Yes. How long? Live? Where? In? As a human being. Oh, I see. Yes. And the lifespan in this the human realm, we say the lifespan, people can live up to 100 or 120 years old. That's what they say. That's what we find in our text. There are some people who live up to that, but subject to the conditions, environmental conditions, subject to the pollution, subject to the intake of food, all the artificial preservatives and all the toxic substances that we eat, we can die earlier. And but karmically, there is a certain karma. The karma that is responsible for the support of life, what we call upattambaka karma, to support life. That karma has this function. Those who have done a lot of actions in support of life, by saving the lives of others, by not killing, not shortening the lives of others, by saving the lives of others, by providing food. When you provide food, you are giving life, you are sustaining life. That is why every day, those people who come to provide food, that is why we tell them. We tell them in the form of a chanting, we tell them, those who give dana, those who, four things increase in them. Ayu, vanna, sukhang, balang. Ayu is lifespan. Since you give life, as a result of the law of cause and effect, may you also live long life. So that karma, there is certain karma which controls this lifespan. And so people die. There are different ways by which they die, or different. There are different causes of death. Of course, in Buddhism, there is only one. Do you know the cause of death? In medical science, a lot, When you go to the doctor, they will say heart, they will say, kidney failure, they say liver, they say, and thrombosis and so on. But in Buddhism, if you come to earth to sign the death certificate, we know only one cause. What is the cause? Anybody?
Birth. Birth.
Very good. Birth. As long as there is birth, there is death. As as long as there is birth, there is death. So ultimately, the cause of death is birth. Because it is so? Really? Chief Reverend says, when you come to this world, you don't come with birth certificate. You come with death certificate. Oh, make sure you bring your death certificate along to prove that you died. And then only you can get a birth certificate. Huh? Nowadays, you don't have to prove your death to get a birth certificate. No? Next time maybe you have to prove. So keep your death certificate with you. Yes, I think so much. In fact, there's a lot more to explain with regards to that question, and to understand karmically how, when karma finishes, sometimes we will be discussing these few days, and if you care to come, and tomorrow. So tomorrow, Saturday, we will be showing some slides. And what slides do you want to see? We have three sets. We have slides of, you wanted to see something about meditation objects. You want to see about, what is this, India, the pilgrimage. Which one do you want to see? Reduce your craving. One at a time. One at a time. Yes. Which one you want to see? First. India. What about our audience? Want to see? You can come. If you want to see, you can come. You want to see meditation. Meditation objects. Meditation in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, and the objects they use for meditation. Including the kasina. Do you the kasina? You can fly. And yes, we will first show. Can you show on Sunday? That's fine. Too much. Maybe later on after. Yes. First we will show the India slides, and if there is time, I don't think there is time because the slides will take at least 1 hour. No? And then next week, before we end, we will show you some other slides. Is that okay? All right. I think we will stop here now. So,